All right, we are getting back to it. Mark Passio's Natural Law Seminar, Part 13. Probably the most important reaction I've done in a bit. Honestly, the material is well worth hearing, even more valuable if absorbed. But that's a personal opinion. All opinions for entertainment purposes only. You know the gig. I do have a couple things I'd like to reflect on, but I figured we'd hop back into this first, get farther into it, and then discuss independent versus mainstream influence, and find out that the number one song that the guys on our channel we're following along with them, but we're gonna find out that you can't even you have to spell out their name entirely. But Ange and I watched a movie the other night, and the very next morning, both of the main actors had ads and stories on the homepage saying, hey, wouldn't you like to learn more? So if there is a corporate power behind the artist, it appears it is pushed right into our face. If independent people, free of the system, succeed, let's brush that under the rug. We don't really want you too interested in that. We can't control the people that are selling you stuff. That's problematic. And I find it very interesting when the last thing we discussed was the garbage in, garbage out, poor programming. It appears the algorithm is really poorly programmed.
Garbage is going to come out. If good information goes in, quality will come out. And the output will be as one wants it to be. It will be able to process and create efficiently, effectively, not chaotically. Here's a very simple diagram. Again, if people understand it, they really get how natural law functions. And again, it's very unpopular. People don't want to look at what the bottom base foundation or platform of this structure is. Because once again, this idea that...
I would argue that now worrying about being based with a good understanding of what's going on is actually super important. The memes don't lie. But those with a based approach to it all tend to be problematic to those steeped in denial and solipsism.
Platform of this structure is. Because once again, this idea that knowledge is what's required makes many people upset because they want to believe they're going to achieve these things they say they want without doing the work to acquire that knowledge and therefore understand the requirements for obtaining those conditions. So we start with available information. And for when people look at what I'm going to describe here, they will recognize it as something. And I'll hold what that is for a moment. Available information is what you're starting with. This constitutes potential knowledge, and it can become knowledge if it's taken in, if it's amassed, if it's aggregated, okay? It can be gathered, it can be processed, it can be understood, and then it can be acted upon. You could call this the grammar stage of this three-part process I'm going to explain. Okay? You could also refer to this as the input stage. If we're looking at it in a computer model, this is the stage of inputting information or programming something, okay? Now, the next step that's built upon this is once you've taken information in, necessary information, you then come to a position of understanding it. You know what it means, you recognize the patterns, all right? So this is the second step in this process. Now, your understanding or lack of understanding, okay, now in the first stage, your knowledge or lack of knowledge is going to lead to understanding or lack of understanding. If you have understanding present, your decision-making processes are going to be in harmony with what you say you want, okay? You're going to understand, if here's what I want, this is what's necessary to get that, to make that happen, to manifest it. That's understanding. It's a decision-making process that happens within the mind. These processes take place in the human mind and are chosen by each individual based upon available information. So again, you can see if information is held back, if it is occulted, or even if it's just people are dissuaded from taking it in, because people will say, no, there's nothing there, there's nothing to it, right? You could see how they'll never get to this step. They'll never understand. They'll never get to the second level of creating our reality, all right? Effectively, efficiently. The third stage to this process is what you do with what you have come to understand, to know and understand. So this is the action stage, okay? Each individual's behavior, the behaviors that they choose through their own free will, is based upon the quality of their decision-making processes that are happening within the human mind, okay? That process, as we've already seen, is in return based upon the quality of available information. So this is behavior. See, people don't think of wisdom as behavior. They don't think of wisdom as action. They think of it as something that you just know. No, wrong.
The sum of our actions, deeds, knowledge, and the miles put on the machine. Right? It's literally the working version of everything you've experienced. Being able to influence others. I think being able to, it's got to be visible. It's not some secret. Yeah, right? The wise old shaman isn't that just because they said, oh, no, they have the knowledge base and the skill set to prove their worth and value. It shines through. It's not secret, in my personal opinion.
Wisdom is not knowledge or understanding. Wisdom is action. Let me say this again. Wisdom is action. It is knowledge and understanding that has been applied. Application. That's the program that you're going to run on the computer that you've put an operating system on and formatted properly. The application is the action. When you're working in a computer doing things, you're working in an application. You're not building the things you're building with the operating system. The operating system is what's supporting the program that allows you to be creative, okay? And in return, the file format supports the operating system. So, we start with available knowledge. That can be converted in available information, which can be converted into knowledge, which can then, through decision-making processes and filtering of that information to eliminate inconsistencies, can lead to an understanding. In continuation, the understanding can then lead through our free will decision-making processes to be converted into behavior, into action in the world. That, when it's done properly, it's wisdom. When it's done with morality and ethics in mind, it's wisdom. When it's done without that, it's folly. Okay? And it leads to more and more chaos. So, based upon these three processes, something is generated. Something is created in the physical manifestation.
Now, I watched a movie with ads, and I want to share this quick because it was like rare that I see the word used. Ange and I watched Sisu last night. I actually like the director. I'm a big fan. But the system won't allow you to record. How can I do this? All right. Okay. I needed to get the quote. Basically, it says, Sisu is a Finnish word that can't be translated. It means a white-knuckled form of courage and unimaginable determination. The next Sisu manifests itself when all hope is lost. Now, a little over the top at the end. The airplane scene was crazy, but I really liked it. but it was the manifest line. You just don't see it that much. And I really was like, hey, I'm already sold. And then that idea that some people are willing to go above and beyond when the chips are down. Now, like I said, it was pretty unrealistic, from the producers of John Wick. But the I'm tired of carrying my heavy bag of gold, let's get this shit done premise, that worked for me. It was very cool. And, his manifested reality was kind of fun to experience. I was just saying, you don't see it much, but I really thought that was cool. I enjoyed the movie. Like I said, over the top, though.
Physically manifested reality, the real world. These three processes, something is generated. Something is created in the physical manifestation, physically manifested reality, the real world, so to speak. So the manifested reality is based upon the aggregate behavior. Aggregate behavior. No one person is creating the reality we are experiencing. Okay? It's another fallacy of the New Age movement and thinking. In the aggregate, we are creating our shared reality. All the behaviors put together creates the output on the screen, or the generated result. Is it orderly? Is it chaotic? Well, that's going to be based upon whether someone took in the information, processed it efficiently to come to an understanding, and then acted upon it.
So over on the channel, during reactions, I make jokes or talk about the social contract. But I think this is exactly what I'm talking about. If we can agree on a social contract, we generate order. If that means nothing to the majority of people, let's say the speed limit now, that means nothing, then you have nothing but chaos out there, which is observably true. I think the social contract is the manifested reality, the order version of it. What we're living through now, mob mentality, the chaos version.
Processed it efficiently to come to an understanding and then acted upon it. The manifested reality is the quality of the condition which manifests in any given society based upon the aggregate quality of human behavior within that society. Yep. This is how our reality is actually created. The conditions that we experience as the daily events of our life. It's a simple three-stage process that leads to a result. And for many people here, you will recognize, if you've looked into this discovery process and this creative process, is known as the trivium. This is what the trivium is. Okay? In the ancient traditions, this is what the trivium was labeled. It was labeled knowledge, understanding, and wisdom. In the later aspects, when they passed out of mystery school tradition hands and went into some other think tank and society hands, the knowledge of the trivium was termed grammar, logic, and rhetoric. Grammar being the knowledge stage of aggregating available information, logic being the understanding stage of making using processes to analyze and filter said information and come to an understanding of it. And then the rhetoric stage was the application, the action, taking action based upon
action, language, deeds. Yeah. Trivium comes up a lot. I do not know enough. It's only taught in a few prep schools. It's not something for the general public. I feel after my third or fourth time here that it's actually pretty clear. But then I think that's the problem. The simplicity of life escapes people. It's got to be complicated. It's got to be more. Well, no, it's whatever your imagination can make of it, but that doesn't make that shit true. those are pulled from our own fears and insecurities to create stumbling blocks around us. They don't exist for everyone else. You can't use them to measure other people. But certain systems actually work on a whole. And it's so very clear to me now. I do not know how to apply it. Cannot make my life better overnight from the knowledge. But understanding it, I think I'm there. I do get it. And it's why the Trivium keeps bringing it up. I just referenced Brittany, my daughter. I would really like her to learn more about being able to listen, understand, and then regurgitate whatever she's understood to her own means and ends. Definitely want her to look more into it because it's about, that manifested reality we exist in. And pointing out things is fun. It's good for entertainment. But my real life is very secure. And the manifested reality is health, safety, security, love, and care. And I'm pretty sure the cats, the dogs, and my honeys all are part of that. And it's not complicated. It's a little social contract that exists within my own yard. But it's pretty good. And the chaos and insanity of the channel is a character. It's the you're sticking my dick in the dirt and seeing what happens. Just going for it. Do I get to apply all this to my life? Of course not. I get to think about it all, but in application, boy, it has to be a lot more controlled.
Discovery process and this creative process is known as the trivium. This is what the trivium is. Okay? In the ancient traditions, this is what the trivium was labeled. It was labeled knowledge, understanding, and wisdom. In the later aspects, when they passed out of mystery school tradition hands and went into some other think tank and society hands,
it really makes sense. They had to change it from intangibles to textbook terms.
The knowledge of the trivium was termed grammar, logic, and rhetoric. Grammar being the knowledge stage of aggregating available information, logic being the understanding stage of making using processes to analyze and filter said information and come to an understanding of it. And
would you like to know more about the Trivium method of critical thinking and essential problem solving? You can learn more at www.whatonearthishappening.com by supporting Mark Passio and the things that he does. You can keep him continuing on his journey to provide knowledge to us.
And the rhetoric stage was the application, the action, taking action based upon what you've come to understand. Now, there's a third way of looking at the trivium in computer jargon, and that is input, processing, and output.
I lied. Okay, www.tragedyandhope.com/trivium as well as Peace Revolution episode.
And then you get the result on the screen, which is called
23.
life.
Number 23, how...
All right. Any way you want to look at the
how to free your mind. The Free Your Mind conference. Oh, I remember that.
I don't care. But understand it, know how it works. Okay? Because this is why a big part of why we're in the situation that we're in is that the trivium methodology of truth discovery has been completely obliterated from public consciousness. Completely obliterated. And I ask people how many...
Brittany! Last but not least, you can visit www.triviumeducation.com for more in-depth But yes, I think this is a really important part. We hear things, and let's go with the memes. The fluoride stare. It's a good meme. You walk into the room with knowledge of current events, and they all look at you. Huh? Yeah, that's a total lack of the trivium. That's garbage in, garbage out, garbage system accepted. It's so sad.
Completely obliterated. And I ask people how many people have even ever heard the word trivium. Raise your hand if you've heard the word.
Yeah, the metal band, the progressive metal band. Yeah. Now you know where they stole their name from.
So a good portion of the people here have. Many people have never heard the word. And if you do a Google search.
And when I first learned about it, yeah, let's try that. All right, it's not Google. It's Bing, but whatever. It's a search engine. They're almost all the same. Don't let them bullshit you. Well, TRI gets me nothing. V. Trivium gets me the American Heavy Metal Band. If I click on it, Trivium band, trivium band, trivium band, trivium band, trivium band, trivium band. What does trivium mean? Wow! Look at that, underplayed. So I would think that this should be just an effective example. Underplayed, essential in medieval universities. And see, they don't want you to think and communicate effectively. They want you to regurgitate talking points. So why would you have to kill these ideas? Wow. They help you decipher propaganda like you wouldn't believe. The filter system, you're just like, wait. How could that be true? You're trying to sell me something. Sales can't be part of a factual-based pitch. Sorry. That's a manipulation, control, propaganda, and Bernays-esque mind fucking.
Search on it. Most people are going to get back the band, the metal band, the Trivium. Which is not a bad band, but, but the whole point here is
Did you see that? Did you hear that? That's how long this obfuscation of information is going on. Because I'm pretty sure the actual life services tour band, then you get a definition. You see how they do that? I'm just saying that's very interesting in my personal opinion. All opinions for entertainment purposes only.
The results that are going to come back through Google or Bing or Yahoo or whatever are going to give you a metal band, a heavy metal band, instead of the Trivium method of learning, the classical liberal arts education methodology.
We should have probably tried Google and seen how far down that was. I'm guessing farther. I actually found Bing is doing a pretty good job. I would guess when the kind of the force behind it is one of the most conspiracy-laden individuals on the planet, you should probably put a little more actual information out there because otherwise they wonder why you don't. They start looking at you. Then your foundations. Then your philanthropy, which looks a lot like depopulation. But it's another whole subject.
Because they want to try to sanitize that as much from human consumption as possible. They don't even want you to understand how that works at all. And that's why it's been removed from public schooling.
And what I did learn is that, it is available. They do teach that some places at exclusive prep schools. And you have to be, you got to be being groomed for the skull and bones before they teach you how to actually learn and speak and understand correctly. That's why none of your kids know how to do any accounting. but they certainly know how to do activist activities for political movements. Isn't that funny? Shouldn't they know how to balance a checkbook? Or are they just being convinced to rely on their government-supplied blockchain wallet?
Understand how that works at all. And that's why it's been removed from public schooling. And that's why, as long as this society stays the way it is, it'll never be put back into public schooling. You know, I tell people a little anecdote. When I was in high school, and thank God I went to the high school I did, because they really hammered Latin and Greek into you. You were going to know your Latin and Greek when you came out of my high school, okay? For whatever other indoctrination they put into you, that's a different story. But I'll tell you what, you came out of there knowing your ancient languages. It was still part of the curriculum when I was in high school. And, again, I think I came out better out of there because of simply the linguistics knowledge that I gained from it. And we read Gaius Julius Caesar's war journals in their original Latin and translated them. And in one of them, he's absolutely lambasting one of his centurions. Okay, they're on a campaign in Gaul, which is France now. And Caesar is, making his rounds of his troops, and they're getting ready to, push deeper into Gaul. And he finds, when they would have their encampments, they would have a lot of, slaves of the Roman Empire that they would take with them on their campaigns that would do a lot of the lifting of the equipment and the carrying of the equipment for the centurions to do battle in the next battlefield location. And the slaves would have to do all that manual labor. And Caesar says to one of his centurions, he's passing by their encampment, and he sees one of the actual centurion leaders teaching one of the slaves the trivium method. And he flips out on him in this journal. He says, I caught one of my centurions, teaching the trivium, and freaks out on him. How dare you teach a slave our method of learning? Soon they won't want to be a slave anymore. There'd be an uprising if they knew what we knew, if they knew our truth discovery methodology. He said, I forget how it really ended, but I think how it ended was he told this centurion, if I ever catch you doing this again, I will personally cast you into the wilderness of Gaul and let the Gaulians deal with you, who knew that the Roman Empire was trying to conquer their people at that point, which is basically saying it would be a death sentence, but I won't even carry it out. I'll let our enemy carry it out on you. That's how much he didn't want their slaves to understand their methodology for learning. And that's the trivium. And that's why most people have never heard the word. So you got to look into it and understand how it works. That's all I can say about it. It is how we build our reality, either efficiently or destructively. So let's look at some of the principles of natural law. Now, in my extended seminar, which goes over a 6-week
I think segueing into principles of natural law from the trivium is a good place to stop. We'll do one more. Now, this is part 13. We got part 14. 11 and 12 are already done. They're ready. One's going to come up. I just try to, so I can have one every day instead of putting out a bunch every day. I think it's just Marty and I, and that's okay. There's a few others, but, you're not interested or don't want to participate, and that's totally cool. This one, I definitely, when it comes out, we're going to have to point Brittany in this direction. Maybe she can gain a little knowledge and wisdom from Mark here. With that being said, out of here. I'll be back. Well, I'm coming right back for part 14.